Okay, this is going to be documentation. Documentation of every mission and every patient contact is expected. Documentation needs of the critical care paramedic mirrors those in the pre-hospital environment, and they're similar to the pre-hospital EMS documentation practices. Patient care report. This is defined as documentation written after the patient transport completes, used by numerous individuals in the healthcare continuum, including medical professionals, program directors, researchers, billing department personnel, and lawyers. The PCR that you leave at the hospital becomes an important document that helps ensure the patient receives appropriate and continuous care. Uses of the PCR. Hospital staff may need to review the patient's original physiological status, already established previous medications or interventions, ascertain any pertinent medical history or known allergies, obtain any relevant information from the people originally on the scene with the patient. Uses continued. Describe how the patient has been responding to various treatment modalities to date. Assess administrative needs. PCR is the one source for all the information regarding the complete mission and is many times assessed by administration for quality assurance needs. Roles of the administrative team. An administrative team can ensure thorough documentation practices are being maintained. The time from dispatch to aircraft liftoff or transport. Appropriate protocols are being followed during patient management en route to the receiving facility. The billing department generates a bill that accurately reflects the patient's care, physician certification statement, advanced beneficiary notice, any sort of research that needs to be done on this patient or maybe in play on this type of patient, legal concerns. PCR must objectively demonstrate that you provide the best care possible. Always prepare your PCR as if you knew for certain that it would be referred to in a court of law. Necessary elements of a PCR. How the patient was found. What interventions were already being provided. Patient's response to interventions provided. Clinical findings and pertinent negatives of your complete physical exam. Medical therapies you rendered. Patient's response to your treatment. Any extraneous situations that impacted the patient's transport. General considerations for completing a PCR. Methods of completing a PCR varies, whether it be handwritten or electronic, or a combination of both handwritten and electronic. Characteristics of good documentation. They include the use of appropriate medical terminology. Medical terms render a universal accepted medical document. Use terms correctly and spell properly. Use the medical abbreviations and acronyms. Allow the PCR to carry more information. Only use abbreviations or acronyms with specific, widely accepted meanings. In other words, you can't make your own medical shorthand. Ensure your report is objective. Record events in military time. Complete the PCR in its entirety. Be highly accurate and legible. Submit it in a timely fashion. Avoid excessive mistakes. Submit it with the intention of needing no addendums or alterations. Report all appropriate diagnostic and imaging exam results and treatment. Modes of documentation. Narrative report, checkoff boxes or bubble spaces, or electronic clipboards. Even the electronic documentation still has a section generally for a narrative report. It's an easy way to discern what happened during that transport. Consequences of poor documenting practices. Both have medical and legal consequences. On the medical side of it, we get poor patient care. Maybe not from your result, but with poor documentation, later on, when the healthcare providers see what's done or a change or an alteration, if you've attempted something and hasn't been documented, they may attempt the same thing again. Appropriate documentation needs to be maintained. and then there may be legal consequences. You may be found liable or negligent for damages. This ends documentation. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My name is Roy Smith, roy.smith@redlandscc.edu or smith@emsa.net.